Hello, family. I hope all is well. I hope you're having a great day. Sending you all lots of love. This content is going to kind of be around, how people, different groups, countries have come together, sit around a table, and made decisions on our behalf. The foundation of Black Americans, the Black American Indians, and the Black Israelites on how they gonna split up our money, our reparations, if we don't even matter. They added us to a sixth union and say when we do get the reparation, it goes to Africa to improve the Africa based on we were their relatives or we're Africans. Let me tell y'all something, you immigrants, Africans, Liberians, Nigerians. Reparation is a debt that's owed. It has nothing to do with a bloodline. You don't get money for nothing. You don't get paid for not doing the work. We're talking about slavery that my ancestors on this side in America did. We're talking about my ancestors that was the strange fruit. My ancestors that were castrated. We're not talking about your ancestors. So this ain't had nothing to do with blood. This is about a debt, 40 acres and a mule, and no immigrants was included in that. No African, Dominican, Cuban, Caribbeans, Jamaicans, Haitians, no. Foundation of Black Americans, Black American Indians, and the Black Israelites. We are the only one will and was promised reparations, 40 acres and a mule, and whatever other promises. It was only to the Black Americans that were in Americans that are descendants of slavery. All right, we're going to get into some content, family.
Skinned, woolly-haired, heavily melanated beings inhabited every square inch of the planet Earth long before the continents even shifted. So in 1492, when Christopher Columbus and his Spanish conquistador buddies came over here under the Spanish Inquisition and the doctrine of discovery and discovered a land that had already been inhabited for millions of years, that had a highly developed, highly advanced civilization already here, they found highly melanated, woolly-haired, copper-complected people, the organic to the land, original people of the Americas, with a highly developed civilization. There's actually more pyramids on this side than there is on that side. In fact, the pyramids over here are older than the ones at Giza. The pyramids over here are older than the ones at Giza.
No. Americans. I find it cumbersome and confusing. Which part of Africa are we talking about? Egypt. Egypt is in Africa, but Egyptians aren't black. They're like the people in India. They're dark brown white people, but they're Africans. So why wouldn't an Egyptian citizen who becomes a U.S. citizen be called an African American? The same would apply to South Africa. Suppose a white racist from South Africa becomes an American citizen. Couldn't he call himself an African American if for no other reason than just to bother black people? Now hold on. Let me stop right there. Because what this woman just did is break down the absurdity of the term African American. She's pointing out that Africa is a continent with 54 countries and thousands of ethnic groups. So calling all black people African American is like calling all white people European American. It's too broad. It's not specific. And it erases the unique identity of black Americans. But here's where it gets even better. There are other white people who are going even deeper. They're explaining that black Americans are not just different from Africans culturally. We're different genetically. We have indigenous American DNA. We have roots in this land that go back thousands of years. Let me show you another clip. This one is from a white man who's breaking down the DNA evidence, the anthropological evidence, and the historical evidence that black people were in the Americas before Columbus. Watch this. You use the word African. You're insinuating 12.5% or higher African blood. There's a lot of black races, the Moorish people, all these other cultures, all these other bloodlines that would never in a million years. It even says right in the definition, all colored people are always colored people. But not all colored people are Negroes. Literally one of the definitions right out of the book. What that definition is referring to is there's a lot of black races that are not of African descent. Now pause. Let me let that sink in. This white man just said that not all black people are of African descent. He's saying that there are black races that are indigenous to other parts of the world, including the Americas. And he's right. Here's my verdict. These white people are speaking truth that most black people don't even know. They're doing the research. They're pulling the receipts. They're defending our lineage better than some of us are defending it ourselves. And that should tell you something. That should tell you that the truth is so powerful, so undeniable, that even people who have no reason to defend us are compelled to speak it. Let's talk about the hypocrisy, because it's sitting right there in plain sight. When white people trace their ancestry back to Europe, nobody questions it. When they say they're Irish American, or Italian American, or German American, nobody tells them to just call themselves white. Nobody tells them their specific lineage doesn't matter. But when black Americans say we're not African, when we say we have a unique lineage that includes indigenous roots, suddenly it's controversial. Suddenly it's divisive. Suddenly we're making things up. Why? Because acknowledging that black Americans have indigenous roots means acknowledging that we have a claim to this land. It means acknowledging that we're not just descendants of slaves. It means acknowledging that we're owed more than just reparations for slavery. We're owed land back. We're owed sovereignty. We're owed recognition as the original people of this land. And the system can't allow that. Because if black Americans are indigenous, then the entire narrative of American history has to be rewritten. The entire justification for our oppression falls apart. The entire system of white supremacy is exposed as a lie. Let's zoom out, because this isn't just about terminology. This is about systems. The term African American was popularized in the 1980s by Jesse Jackson and others as a way to give black people a cultural identity. But it was also strategic. It was a way to disconnect us from our indigenous roots. It was a way to make us foreigners in our own land. It was a way to deny our claim to reparations and land. Because if we're just Africans who were brought here, then we're immigrants. And immigrants don't have the same claim to the land as indigenous people. But if we're indigenous, if we were already here, if we have roots in this land that go back thousands of years, then we have a claim that supersedes almost everyone else. And that's what they're afraid of. That's why they push the African American label so hard. That's why they resist when we say we're black Americans, when we say we're foundational black Americans, when we say we have a unique lineage. Now, I want to be clear. This is not about hating Africa. This is not about denying our African roots. Many black Americans do have African ancestry, but we also have indigenous American ancestry. We also have roots in this land. And acknowledging that doesn't erase Africa. It completes the picture. Let's go to scripture, because this is where it all comes together. Acts 17, verse 26. From one man he made all the nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth. And he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands. God determined where people would live. God marked out the boundaries. And black people were placed in the Americas, not just through the slave trade, but from the beginning. We were here. We are indigenous. And no amount of erasure can change that. So to my black family watching this, hear me clearly. You are not African American. You are black American. You are foundational black American. You have a unique lineage that includes both African and indigenous roots. You have a claim to this land that nobody else has. You are owed reparations. You are owed land. You are